Hey gang, this is Mike with my Real Estate Dojo. Today's lesson is about detaching the seller whenever you negotiate with them to be able to get the best deal. So let's dive in and get started, gang. Alright, today's lesson is about how to get the deal by detaching the seller from their situation or their problem so they're not so emotionally involved in the situation, okay? So they're able to answer your questions openly. Let me give you an example. In my seller questionnaire form, there's a question why I asked the seller, Mr. Seller, tell me how many months is the house behind? Now, please notice this question. I didn't ask the seller, Mr. Seller, how many months are you behind? Okay. What I did say is, Mr. Seller, tell me how many payments is the house behind? Okay. Or I'll ask a question like, are the house payments current? I never asked the seller, are your payments current? Because what I'm doing is separating the house from the seller. A lot of times when sellers are distressed or they're going through emotional financial hardship or emotional distress, if you're able to separate the problem from the individual, they're able to reflect back and answer you honestly and correctly, and maybe sometimes a lie will spark up in their mind, okay, that this may not be a great deal, or realize the problem they're actually in, okay? So simply put, you have to detach the seller from the property or the problems or the finances. And a great way that I do that is, instead of talking about, hey Mr. Seller, what's your monthly house payments? Or hey Mr. Seller, is the house payment correct? Hey Mr. Seller, are you behind on payments? I take the seller out of the equation 100%, and what I say is the house. I say, hey Mr. Seller, what is the house payments? Hey Mr. Seller, how many months is the house behind? Hey Mr. Seller, etc. So I'm talking about the house and separating the seller. So the house is here and I'm saying, how many payments is the house behind? Okay. That way the seller does not feel like I'm aiming or doesn't have anything to be embarrassed about. Now, this sounds like really simple, guys, and elementary, but I promise you, if you talk to a distressed seller and you ask him, well, how many payments are you behind, Mr. Seller? He or she may get offended, might not give you the answer honestly. But if you just try, hey Mr. Seller, how many payments is the house behind, and separate that house from that seller's personal ego or emotion or self-esteem, then he or she's going to be able to reflect and give you honest answers. And that's one of the main keys of a master salesperson, is that you're not just always trying to close people, you're actually trying to separate them and make them feel less fear, less anxiety, to be able to connect with them and tell them, hey, you really understand their situation, you can really help them out and create a win-win situation. So that is what a master sales guy does. You really have to care about people, and one way to really care about somebody is to know that they're in pain and try to take the pressure off the pain so they could open up to you and so you could solve their problem. Because as an investor, when we deal with motivated sellers, we're problem solvers, and that's the key of having success. So simply put, pull the seller away from their problem or their house or their emotion, and then start talking to them as if that problem was totally different than who they are, okay? That's the key. That can happen in negotiation. For example, if I tell a seller that, hey, Mr. Seller, your house doesn't have equity, and the seller says, yes, my house does have equity, I don't sit there and argue with the seller or tell them no, how they're wrong, because there's three types of words. We have words that basically says, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm on the other side. There's the type of words that says, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm on your side. And there's a type of words that says neutral. So if I don't agree with the seller, I just stick with the neutral words, and I only stick with the words that I agree with the seller. I do not use words that I don't agree with the seller, because it doesn't do any good for me or the seller or for me to get the deal, because those are words that separate us, and the goal is to unite us, create a win-win situation for us to be able to get the deal, guys. Okay, so if I tell to the seller, hey seller, your house doesn't have equity, for example, and the seller says, no, my house has equity, then what I do is I separate him from the situation and say, okay, Mrs. Seller, if I went and bought your house, or the way I do is when I buy your house, I'm gonna have to pay closing costs, I have to pay a realtor fee, holding fees, and basically help him understand all the fees he has to pay without putting him in the situation or in the spotlight. I actually transfer the light into me and say, okay, when I buy your property, now I gotta put this much in repairs, I gotta do this, and by the time I sell and I do all the numbers, I'm gonna lose this much money, which basically is a reflection of how much money they're gonna lose. But I don't say this is gonna happen to you. I make it like, hey, if I bought the deal, sure, you have equity. Okay, sir, if I bought your deal and I did this and I did this and I did the repairs, holding X, Y, and Z, by the time I do all this, I'm going to lose all this money. Oh my God. And it's going to help them reflect that, hey, this is their situation and I haven't bought the deal yet. Hey guys, if you like these videos, please share, please leave a comment, please subscribe. I will get back with you as soon as possible. Go out there and hustle. Don't listen to the naysayers. The grass is so green in America. If you're willing to hustle and bustle, if you're willing to go out there and put the dirt in, if you're willing to read books, if you're willing to go to seminars, if you're willing to listen to these YouTube videos, if you're willing to go knock on doors, if you're willing to cold call, if you're willing to tackle your fears, you can do anything in America. Gang, go out there and make it happen for yourself. This is America. You can do it. I believe in you. Have a great day. Real quick, download my free book, Real Estate Investing for Beginners, the ultimate starter guide at myrealestatedojo.com, where I teach you how to find motivated sellers, buy their homes at a deep discount, and then have the seller become your own private bank. Subject to, get it now. One more thing, if you're looking for private one-on-one help when it comes to real estate investing, then consider joining my academy where you sit down with me one-on-one. 2, you get monthly coaching. 3, you get access to my best-selling courses. 4, you get access to my video library, and then the list goes on for just $97 a month. Join me now at mrnofluff.com. Lastly, the best six-figure side hustle, bicycle flipping. Want to see how? Here's a behind-the-scene video how I did it. Go to thebestsidehustle.mrnofluff.com. Now let's get back to the content.